Hi, Jordan's with me here tonight, and she's agreed to talk to us about some questions that may help you guys become better rehabilitation specialists / athletic trainers. Jordan, why don't you just take it away? Tell us who you are and a bit of your history.
Okay. My name is Jordan. I'm a senior at Iowa. I'm on the soccer team. I've torn my ACL 5 times. The first one, I was 14. It was contact. My right leg. The second one was my right leg again. I was 15. I have to remember all this. The third one was my left leg. It was the day before my 18th birthday. And the fourth one was 19 and the start of my sophomore fall, I believe. And then my fifth one was last February. Yeah, that's pretty much.
So I met you for number 3.
Yes.
I didn't know. I guess I did know it had been that many.
Yeah.
Did you have injuries prior to your ACL injuries?
I did. When I was 13, I broke both bones in this arm and chipped my wrist in a game. That one didn't feel good either. That was it. Other than that, I had orthotics when I was a little bit younger than that. I had a lot of ankle problems when I played basketball. Just bad luck, really. But that went away as soon as I stopped playing on hard surfaces like that and just focused on soccer. So.
You were quite young at the time of your first injury.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think when somebody said to you, you've torn your ACL?
It was still pretty new then to hear about ACL tears, so I didn't really know how to react, but I was devastated. I remember just crying in the doctor's office because I had a bunch of big soccer events coming up. Like I was supposed to go to Florida and Costa Rica and all these cool places, and I was so excited. So that was really hard to take, that just knowing how long the recovery was, and I didn't know much about it.
How did you know how long the recovery was, though?
They kind of gave me a...
You've torn your ACL, and this is what it means.
This is kind of how it goes, and I met with my coach, and I was like, do you think I'll be ready in 5 months to go play in Costa Rica with some of the best players my age? And he was just like... He said as nicely as he could, but he said, no, it's not worth it. So that was hard.
Was that harder, or was it harder getting the diagnosis?
That was harder, because like I said, I didn't know much about it, but I had never really had, I mean, my arm was pretty bad, but you can still play after, I only had to sit out for like a month for that, and so just, I don't know. Yeah, it was hard.
Did you have any concerns that you wouldn't play again after the first one?
No, I was very confident and very motivated, and I figured I'd be back in no time. And I did come back, started playing again after about 5.5 months, which was a little fast, but I was working hard, so.
How long does it take for the switch to flip, so to speak? So to go from kind of being down to I'm going to miss this event to okay, I'm ready to start working on it now.
It didn't take me long.
You were still young.
Yeah, I was really sad, but all I'd really ever done was play soccer, so I was ready to go, ready to get back and start rehabbing. And my coach had torn his ACL, and so he had kind of told me, you need to start as soon as you can. Like when they say you're lying in bed and you should be flexing, do it. Like you're not going to want to, you're not going to feel like you can, but do it. And that, I mean, hearing that was helpful. So.
And it didn't sound like any of the previous girls on the team, any of the girls on the team currently have torn their ACLs?
Actually, we had 2 before me, 13 or 14 years old, but they didn't play as much, and so I don't know if I just didn't think it would happen to me, and they didn't come back as strong, or so I didn't really understand that it was kind of the same injury, I think, because I don't know. They were both a little bit different, and they left the team not that long after. And
so even though you heard the same diagnosis, you didn't equate the two?
No. I don't know why.
Huh. This kind of brings up another question. What did you think of girls that were hurt before that couldn't be on the team? That's all. I'll just leave it open-ended.
I really didn't think much about it, I don't think. I didn't ever expect to be an injured athlete ever, so I didn't really look down at injured players. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Didn't think about them.
When you had your first injury, you're kind of at a stage of life when all you do is pretty much worry about yourself anyway, so that could have something to do with it.
Yeah, probably.
The students had this question. So you've had 5 different ACL injuries. Does it become easier or harder each time to come back from the injury and the rehabilitation?
I think it becomes easier. Well, mentally it's way easier. Physically, for me, it got harder.
Tell me more. Mentally, it's way easier.
Just because you know what to expect. You've already been, like, the first couple were devastating, and then after that you kind of, like, you know what's coming, you know how to prepare, you know, I don't know, there are bigger things, and how to, it's just emotionally and mentally it's a lot easier to wrap your mind around.
Yeah, physically, it always seems like it's much easier too. Maybe that goes to the mental side of what you just said. No matter, you and I have had this conversation. We try to slow down the rehab the more times it happens, but invariably the rehab ends up going faster.
Yeah, physically it is easier in that sense. I feel like you do progress faster, but I just noticed that my body wasn't where I used to be. Like, I'm not nearly as athletic as I used to be.
And what do you mean by that?
I'm so slow, and I used to be very fast.
Coordination.
And
you mean straight line speed or changes?
And that was the biggest difference I noticed after my third, that I was confused because I was used to being the fastest girl in the field. I was, like, very slow. And then I used to be able to jump very high, and I can barely jump now. So just little things like that rehab was going well, but just overall I could tell I had lost a lot of abilities physically. So
when you went back, so you would have had your third one as an incoming freshman. That's when I met you, and then you went back to play. It sounds like you felt slower and less athletic then.
Yeah.
Was that hard to take?
Yeah, that was really, especially being a freshman in college. I came in expecting to be at a certain level and to get my confidence and everything back, and it just didn't happen because I wasn't able to perform like I used to. So that was really, really challenging.
Yeah, every freshman kind of goes through that, but I bet, knowing where you were and then knowing you're not quite at that same level yet when you start to play as a freshman, I bet that would be tough.
It was, and I came in with 2 teammates, so I kind of knew where I was, like where I had been compared to them, and how we were all about the same, and I was fast. And then watching myself out there next to girls that I used to be able to play with, and I just didn't feel like I was anywhere near that anymore, so that was hard.
Did you get to play long enough then to change your game? Or did you get injured shortly thereafter again? I don't remember when.
I'm trying to think. I came in and I was about 4 months maybe, so I didn't get to do much in the fall, and then I played that spring actually, and that was a hard adjustment. Another part of it was we were lifting in the spring, and I've never squatted that much in my life, so my legs were just, I remember I would call my mom all the time and be like, I've never felt so, like, my body felt so tired all the time, and I think that on top of already of feeling slower, it was, and I did have to try and figure out how to adjust, and I don't know if I ever really got the hang of it, to be honest with you. But
how do you make it through that process then? You're lifting, you're not feeling great, soccer's not going great.
You just keep waiting for it to get better. You lift more, you practice more, and I just kind of expected to feel more comfortable and confident with time. But then got hurt again, so. That
kind of fits. You sound like you were a worker even from the first injury. Had the surgery, I was ready to start working on it right away, so that makes sense then. In that spring, just keep plugging it, it will get better. Did you have a fear of re-injury? And how do you get over that?
Honestly, I never did, which is crazy. But I always, I worked so hard, and I was always ahead of the game, ahead of the curve, so I always felt like it wouldn't happen to me. I was like, one time. And then after 2, I was like, okay, nobody does 3. And after 3, I was like,
what are the chances?
I can't do 4, you know what I mean? So it was never in my mind. Which in some ways is good, but maybe I should have been more, I don't know, aware of it. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think you and I have had this conversation too. I think the fear of injury is somewhat linked to physical limitations. So the more physically limited you are, the more you fear the injury. And the fact that you didn't have a fear of re-injury, I think, speaks to the lack of physical limitations.
Right. That's true.
Still at a loss to explain why it's happened so many times, but. What things were said or were done for you that were helpful as you went through your rehabs, or conversely, things even with good intentions on the sports medicine side, we think are helpful but are not so helpful?
I think I always got really lucky coming here, working with you guys, and even my physical therapy group back home. You guys always kind of were positive, which for me is helpful because some people like the different aspects to push them, like more negative things, but for me that helps me because I want to keep impressing you guys. And then, I don't know, just I'm pretty good at motivating myself, so I don't really need a lot from people. But it was just nice to hear, you're doing well, keep working, things like that. But yeah, there wasn't much.
Does it ever come across as fake?
Not from you guys. Maybe some people. But people like you guys who know what you're talking about and what you're doing, it's very genuine. But then it's the people who don't understand or have never experienced it that try and tell you things, and comes across very sweet, but you take it with a little bit of salt and you're just like, you don't like saying it's going to be okay, things like that. And yeah, it is, but you don't know.
It's too false. It's
Yeah.
fake.
But overall, I don't really encounter problems with that.
Okay. Anything that we thought was positive that you thought that's not the right thing to say to someone who's in my shoes?
I don't think so. I've been trying to think, and I don't think I've ever encountered that.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I can't think of anything.
What role, particularly the athletic training students, what role did the athletic training students play in your rehab?
My freshman year, had a student named Tara work with me, and she was awesome. She did pretty much all of my rehab with me, and was very helpful. You could tell she put a lot of time into learning, especially, at least, I don't know if she put extra time into learning about ACL injuries just because she worked so much with me, but she knew everything. She was friendly and helpful without being just blatting in my ear. It was still, she was doing her job. She wasn't just trying to be my friend, which, we were, but it was more than that, and I really liked working with her. She was awesome. She would do every drill with me and made sure I was doing my rehab all the time, and Anika could kind of sit back and work with other people so that Tara could really focus on me, and I thought it was a great experience. I missed her, actually.
Yeah. She was energetic.
She was awesome. She was. But she was in a good way. She always wanted, to do it with you instead of just, sitting back and watching.
What do you mean do it with you? She'd run the drills with you?
She would set them up and watch with me, or if I was doing monster walks or something, she would be, walking by me, or just making sure I'm not totally isolated, because it can be a little bit of an isolating experience.
Yeah, for
so,
sure.
I don't know, it was nice to have her.
I want to come back to Tara, but to go to something else. How much of your rehab did you do with the team, even when you were 13, 14, versus do away from the team? And what's a better way to do it? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. When I was before college, I did it all on my own. My team practiced an hour and a half away from me, so
you weren't going to
I didn't
just
go to anything.
Watch practice,
right? And I had a really nice physical therapy place by my house that I loved, so I would do it at my house, or the days I didn't go, and then I would go in and do it with them. But here, I would do it every day with Anika. I think, and then I would come in with you guys as well a couple times a week. So I like coming into physical therapy the best, but I think it's nice to do the little things that you can do while they're out practicing, so you feel like you're getting something out of it and you're doing something. So I did like that, because even now where I can't really do anything, I have to be doing something. So I'll go get the balls or something while everyone else is practicing or sitting or whatever. So I did like having something to do. And then you feel like you're still contributing in some way, so I liked that.
Did any of your coaches require you to be at practice even if you couldn't participate, just to watch?
Not before college, but in college, yeah.
Yeah.
To be at everything, so might as well do something.
It sounds like you took that well.
Yeah, that was fine with me. I liked when I was younger not having to go because, well, I was also younger, so it's probably harder to watch. But it's so far, and I didn't want to put the time in. But yeah.
Okay, let's come back to Tara and Anika. Then it sounds like you and Tara really formed quite a close relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get the sense that obviously it was learning for Tara too?
Mm-hmm.
Is that why you think you ended up with Tara so much, or just you guys hit it off, and so Anika said just?
I think Anika thought it'd be a good experience for her, and since she was going to be there for the whole year, and I was pretty fresh and still needed rehab, I think she just thought it'd be a good experience. But I've also worked with Anika a lot, and she's awesome. She's been helpful,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah.
How did Tara walk the line between being a friend, because you're relatively the same age, right? She would have been maybe 2 years older than you at that point, 3 at the very most.
Yeah.
How does she walk the line between being a sports medicine professional but a friend?
I don't know.
That's
I
different
mean,
than Anika.
when she was there, she was doing her job, so it never really was like. I think we just liked each other, and like now we would probably, if we saw each other, be like
friends.
give each other a hug and be
Yeah.
friends. But she always was there to do her job, which is important. I think sometimes it seems like you'd want to just be friends and go there for social things, but she was always doing her job first, which helped Anika as well as us. So I thought it was good. But she just had a personality that came across that you could still get along really well and be friendly. So.
And again, you have kind of your own personal rehabilitation person at
Yeah,
time.
that was
Consistency.
nice. Mm-hmm, yeah.
You know, Anika and I were kind of coming in and out, but Tara was always
there. Yeah, that's true.
Any exercise or rehab activity that you dreaded? One that you never wanted to do?
I do remember I would always, so many reps and so many times, do monster walks with Anika. And I hated them. They were fine. They didn't hurt. They weren't like too much or not enough. They were just so monotonous. So I hated those.
That was Anika's go-to exercise?
Yes, I did that one a lot. And I don't miss that. And then here, I always hated hamstrings just because those were always a little bit harder for me. But hate's a strong word.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Didn't look forward
They were
to
my
it.
favorite.
What was your favorite thing then?
I loved all the balancing
Yeah.
stuff. That's my favorite.
Yeah, that becomes the danger for these guys because it's fun for them to do too, but it may not necessarily be what you need at that time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Actually, often in rehab, what the athlete really needs is actually the hardest for them to do or the most painful thing. Did you realize that when you were going through the rehab, or only now that you're kind of done with rehab, you understand that part of it?
I mean, I guess I got it.
For instance, hamstrings, not your favorite thing, but
Right.
probably because it's not your favorite thing, it's what we should do more of.
Right. I always understood that, but I still.
Didn't like it.
Right. Yeah.
Are there any positives that came from all your injuries, now that you can look back?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had to grow up a little bit, and it makes you, in some ways, most ways, it makes you mentally stronger. So that's a plus for sure. Soccer-wise, you get to see the game from a new perspective, which,
Good point.
if you can come back and keep playing, is very helpful. But for me now, that's.
But you did for parts of it.
Yeah.
And
And now I can help other people. You know, I see things that they can't because they're on the field, which is definitely helpful. So.
Do you guys do much video analysis once you're here?
Yeah. We are doing video tomorrow, actually. We did a lot with Ron. I
Okay.
haven't had to go as much this year, so I'm not sure, but I think so.
Okay, so I mean that's a part that most, before you get to college, at least most athletes don't have access
Never
to.
did
So to
that.
see the game for a while, I bet that was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pick up on something else? And if it gets too personal, let me know. You said I grew up a lot, but it struck me that you were injured at 13 and 14 and were ready to buckle down right away. So it seems like you were very mature from an early age. What do you mean
Well,
by
I was,
grew up a
but I
lot?
wasn't. I was working hard, but it was. I know everybody's always like, you're so positive, but I didn't. I guess to me it feels like I'm more positive now than I was. Like I took it really hard, and obviously I'm sure everybody does, but I was motivated, but I was also sad, and not that I'm not sad still, but I don't know. I feel like I've learned how to handle things better.
Mhm.
So.
You were always very internal, to be blunt. You kind of kept
Oh,
most
yeah.
things in. Who, if you ever had to reach out, who could you reach out to? Who was there for you if you needed a moment to?
Yeah, I
talk?
usually didn't. I usually kept everything
Yeah.
in. But I guess if I had to talk to someone, it was probably my mom. Yeah, I really didn't much though. So probably shut up more.
Is your mom okay with that?
Yeah. I mean, she likes when I would talk to her. She was the one that always took care of me. And she literally would live with me.
Yeah.
And come live with my roommates and make sure I was icing and everything. So drive me to class. So yeah, she was good.
There's another positive.
Yeah.
Good mom time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you view soccer now?
Very love-hate. It's hard for me sometimes. I think that's been the hardest thing is I kind of dislike soccer. And it's hard to watch. And it's hard for me to remember a lot of like my good moments because I'm always thinking of, well, I was hurt or I was struggling to come back or, so it's been hard. But overall, I mean, I still love the game and I like watching my teammates and being a part of it. So it's very love-hate.
Are there members of your class still on the team?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my 2 teammates that I came here with from Michigan are still on the team, and they're probably the hardest to watch.
Yeah.
But it's also, I mean, I'm very happy for them. They're 2 of our best players, but it makes it harder for me.
Kind of reminds you every time you watch me.
Yeah.
There, on that same note, there have been quite a few injuries on the team this year. How do you interact with the girls that have had the same injury now you've had?
It's a little bit different because there's so many of them, unfortunately. But they are very close-knit and, they're all on the same page. They're all about the same time and age and everything, so it kind of works well for them. But for me, I'd be more than happy to talk to them or help them if they need anything, but they've kind of got their own thing going on, and that's fine. So I'm not going to assert myself in there if I don't feel like I have anything to offer. But if they did have questions or things, I'm more than happy to help. But it's nice because they can kind of lean on each other, I think, which is cool.
And they do.
I'm lucky.
Katie's a little older than the others. The others are they're all the same age.
Yeah.
Right? They're all the same class, so
Yeah.
they are pretty tight-knit.
They are, yeah. Which is good for them. I mean, you would never wish that upon anyone, but it would have been great to have somebody to, you know what I mean, to be there with you.
Yeah.
And push each other with, but yeah.
You're pretty internally driven anyway, though.
I try.
What does the word rehabilitation mean?
I guess, to me, I would think of healing and improving, but physically and mentally. I think it's getting better physically, but for me at least, the hardest stuff is the mental stuff. So I think that that's a big part of the rehab process. Yeah.
Well, what happens with the mental stuff? Is it time? Is it that you feel physically better so you feel mentally better, and mentally better so you feel physically better? Is it seeing the progress? What helps the mental side of it?
I think just if you put the work in physically, I think that helps. And I think having support from people, like even though I didn't like to talk about it, like having people that I knew still cared, and like you guys helping us and your parents supporting you helps a lot. And then once you can get back on the field, that's actually at first that's the worst part because you're just so out of touch with the ball and with the game. But then once you get that back, that's a big help. That's like a huge improvement. But I don't know, I feel like it's probably different for everybody. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you're right on again. I think it's the physical effort and then seeing the tangible reward. When athletes really start to struggle, it's when they're working so hard and they're not seeing the gains. That's a tough time in rehab.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, last question. So you spent a lot of time with athletic trainers, spent some time with PTs, and yet you want to be an OT. What's going on with that?
I have no idea. I was actually talking to my mom, and because the only class I didn't take for PT is physics.
Okay.
So I might take it this summer, and then just apply to both.
There you go. Oh, good.
So
we haven't lost you yet.
You haven't yet. Yeah, I'm excited for both. I think I just like the idea of working with people
Yeah.
with rehabilitation. So.
And do you see your past as a help or a hindrance as you start to work with others?
It's probably the biggest reason I'm doing it. I've had such good experiences with it, and I've spent so much time with it that I know it's something I'm interested in, and I know the kind of people that work there, and they've all been awesome. So I
Great.
don't know. It's definitely influenced me.
Well, you're of that same ilk, so.
Oh, thanks.
All right. Anything else you want to tell the young next generation of athletic training students or athletic trainers?
I don't think so.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jordan. Appreciate it.
Thank you.